Hi, this is your host Swapnil Bhartiya and welcome to another episode of TFiR Let's Talk here at KubeCon in Detroit. And today we have with us once again David Safaii, CEO of Trilio. David, it's great to have you back on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we met a few months ago in Valencia and we talked about a lot of work that you're doing in continuous restore, everything. But I want to, instead of going a specific project, let's just look at the larger picture that you're trying to solve for the cloud native world, because you folks come in all the way from OpenStack. I mean, you have a long history in
That's true.
But you folks are moving with the customers. Yep. So talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so it's an interesting perspective because we've been focused on the cloud native world for a long time, right? Understand the needs, and actually this part of this journey has really been with the customer journey itself. And because of the environments that we've historically protected, very demanding environments. Telco, financial services, government, et cetera. And as we had embarked on this journey with Kubernetes, we have now started going down a path of uplifting the conversation of not just being about backup, right? These are complex environments that, at the end of the day, you as an organization should care about the risk tolerance of your application. And so some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today, really, it talks about how do we elevate the conversation into resiliency, right? It's about resiliency of the application. So, and all those things, right, incorporates backup and disaster recovery and ransomware protection, right, and security aspects of it, but it's really about risk tolerance of that application. I think that's what we're going to see as this conversation evolves over time.
When you say resiliency of application, first of all, let's just talk about the importance of it in today's world, because it's the Kubernetes deployment are in production now. They are not, in evaluation and testing phase. People are really running critical applications there. So, and nothing is worse than things going down and you trying to bring it back, and that you can have millions and millions of dollars in losses, not in just dollar amount, but also your reputation. So talk about the importance. Then we can also talk about how much awareness is already there in the market, where they have this strategy also in place, because getting your app up and running is good. What if something fails?
Yeah, so I mean, right, the beauty of Kubernetes, it provides high availability, right? That's part of the conversation, right? There's also that other part of the conversation is managing state, right? And to be able to recover. And I've got this beautiful technology that I can deploy an application when and where required. So the conversations that we're seeing are people managing applications both on-premise and in the cloud, right? And they need to manage both of these things. And I'm a big comic book fan, as you know, right? So to quote Uncle Ben, Peter Parker's uncle, right? Great power comes great responsibility. And so as people start deploying and growing and evolving these environments, finding their way to production, the conversation starts to become really interesting, right? All of a sudden now we're having conversations with banks saying that, oh crap moment, right? We need to, just for compliance and regulatory and auditing, right, of this environment, Trilio's capabilities become more important than ever before. And here at the show, the conversations at the show, people are coming to us with pain and need, different than before. We had this conversation, start LA or Valencia, people are starting to learn about Kubernetes still, and they're asking that question. Now they're coming with, I've got an issue, and that's the signal, right? We're talking about production environments.
Where does continuous restore, we had this discussion, but I want to just continue that, thread again, and then we can also talk about what announcements you made here to continue the theme that there is at Trilio.
Yeah, when last we spoke, we had the tech preview of continuous restore, and now we are GA with this, and we're finding again, it's a lot of the compliance-heavy environments that they want to have this conversation. So, as a refresher, continuous restore gives you the ability to take a single point in time, right, and now replicate that amongst as many clouds and storage environments as you like, heterogeneous environments. So, taking a step back, we think about things like disaster recovery from a traditional IT sense. You're used to standing up one piece of hardware, another piece of hardware, tying these things together and wrapping a bunch of services around it, and then good luck testing if DR really works, maybe once a year. Now in this cloud native world, it's a little more complex, right? We got different clouds, different storage environments, right? And so we've taken a hard look at that. And now with continuous restore, again, I could take a single point in time, push it to multiple clouds simultaneously using one source of truth, right? And all these clouds will stay in balance with each other. So what can I do? I now have a production cloud, I have a DR cloud, I have a test dev cloud, all with the same data. And that's there's a lot of heartburn in different parts of the organization, all trying to work with the same sources of data. So now I can move things around. From a security aspect, something goes wrong, well, I can forensically take apart that identical application that is running over in production. So it's all the things that you're accustomed to from a traditional sense in this new flexible, scalable world. So to a point you made before, revenue, reputation, all these things are really important as we rush to the cloud. And so now you have a little more comfort with Trilio.
If I'm not wrong, last time the demo was done at the Microsoft Azure,
yes.
Right? Yeah. So are you supporting all clouds, or you have you're one step at a time?
No, so that's a good question. So, well, one of the announcements at the show is we continue to invest across the hyperscalers. In one aspect, with people like Red Hat, with Rosa and Arrow, making sure that those environments are covered and actually give you the ability to migrate to those environments. But also, we are now fully integrated into these marketplaces. So it's the AWS marketplace. So now you can have consumption-based pricing, bring your own license, or however you want to consume Trilio. Totally up to you, and that's great. Same thing on the Microsoft side. And as we look to Q1, we'll have Google as well.
What other announcements you made here?
So beyond continuous restore and the full integration with Rosa and Arrow and the marketplaces, we've also integrated with ACM, Red Hat ACM. So everyone wants to talk about fleet management, right? And I think as we're looking at this world, we're seeing an evolution where people used to deploy a large cluster and then build a number of applications and manage that way. Now we're seeing people deploy many smaller clusters. And that is going to compound itself as we talk about edge. Hot topic, right? Hot topic here. So now when I talk about edge, it's a number of clusters simultaneously. So the beauty of fleet management and ACM is now with Trilio integrated, I can use Trilio as a policy. Go protect that cluster. That's all you have to say. And it does it. ACM does it, Trilio gets loaded up, protects entire clusters, geographies, clusters, whatever you need, and it'll do the right thing behind the scenes. So as nodes go down, nodes go back up, Trilio automatically gets reinstantiated in those environments. So it's it's going back to resiliency, policy-based management of your entire Kubernetes deployment.
Since we are talking about Red Hat OpenShift, is there any other work that you folks are doing to support OpenShift and other Red Hat offerings?
We've had a long history with Red Hat that goes back many moons to protecting a number of telco-based environments with them, and have grown with the whole cloud platform. I think Trilio has gone to great lengths to make sure that we're the most integrated ISV to the Red Hat cloud platform. So it's the whole OpenShift ecosystem, right? We just talked about ACM before, and we talked about OpenShift and Rosa and Arrow. Well, taking another step in this journey is OpenShift is now going to market with OCPV, right? And the ability to manage VMs within a Kubernetes based environment. Trilio this quarter will protect that as well. So as organizations look to migrate and move off of whether it's VMware or other VM-based environments, they can take that journey, move to OCPV, Trilio protect that environment, and if you want to start breaking apart that application into microservices, you can go down that path, knowing that you're already protected. And oh, by the way, if some things still need to be left in a VM, that's totally fine. You'll have that protection there with Trilio.
If you just look at this, discussion we are having, I'm seeing a theme, a pattern here. As you said, you be with the customer in their journey. Yeah. There are a lot of things that you cannot talk about it, but we'll talk about it as and when that happens. But what kind of roadmap that you have, which is where you are heading? That these are the problems that we want to solve. These are the areas that we are looking at.
Yeah. So I think I kind of hinted at it before, right? When we talk about resiliency, we talk about policy, we're going to start picking up the conversation at a much higher level. Again, it comes down to the tolerance that you may have, fault tolerance you may have for an application. It's going to be a conversation that's going to start now happening at the executive level. And so you're going to start to see Trilio start moving down the path of policy-based declarative application resiliency, right? We talked about Kubernetes. It's about high availability before, right? State, the management of state, and how the policy you have to apply to all of that. So if we start with that mindset, and if Trilio is best of breed within this realm, there's a number of other worlds that we can parlay this into, right? It goes into the security aspect of it all, right? From a security aspect, I may need monitoring, observability. There are people who have great businesses as SOC and security as a service. Well, they need to monitor and manage these environments. So with Trilio, as we evolve, again, there are other aspects of other industries that can bolt right into this.
David, thank you so much for once again, sitting down with me, talk to you about, the work that you folks are doing in this space. And as usual, I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.